Section 423 creates the Office of Paid Family and Medical Leave. This is the bureaucrat that runs the show, a deputy commissioner. His duties are listed in subsection B, and it's the basic administrative stuff that you would expect: hiring and keeping track of the records and things like that. Requires that they do fraud prevention. Requires that they provide information for employers so that employees will know about and use these benefits. And then last, requires them to make an annual public report sharing the number of people who use paid family leave and break down the demographics. With that, that concludes my testimony for Section 423, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I have a question. Is this a new administration, or does this exist under an existing department, such as the Department of Labor or the Department of Health and Human Services?
This would establish a new office within the Social Security Administration, and the office would be known as the Office of Paid Family and Medical Leave. And it's by a deputy commissioner appointed by the commissioner of the Social Security Administration.
Thank you.
All right, Section 424, getting into the meat of this. This is the family medical leave payments, and it's got a number of subsections. And so I'll just go through those briefly. Subsection A is who is, actually, let me just share my screen. And Subsection A covers who is eligible for the family medical leave. Basically, if you're eligible for disability under Social Security and you've earned income, you have employment, and you've asked for family medical leave insurance, and you're actually engaging in qualified caregiving, then you're entitled to this benefit, not to exceed 90 caregiving days per benefit period. The benefit amount is 2/3 of what your highest annual salary was in the last 3 years. That's the monthly benefit. So if you make $50,000 a year, you would collect a little under $2,800 a month to 4.5 months, or $12,500 over the 18 weeks. The maximum benefit is capped at $3,600 a month, and the minimum benefit is $600 a month. This will be indexed to inflation in 2025. And if you are already receiving ability or other benefits, they can be reduced. These payments can be reduced to reflect that. But it would not affect your Social Security benefits. All right, subsection C is the benefit period. It's 90 days per year. So if you have a baby in January and then you adopt another child in September, it's still just 90 days per year. Section D just kind of goes over the application. Subsection E covers who's disqualified. If you're on permanent disability, or if you've made fraudulent statements trying to get these benefits, you can be disqualified for a year. Subsection F just kind of sets up an appeals process if for some reason you're denied. Section G just clarifies that state and local governments can have their own family leave plans, and if your private employer offers you better benefits than what we have here, this isn't a ceiling that says, sorry, you're capped at such and such. Your private plan can still be better. Subsection H, that prohibits employers from firing or discriminating against an individual because they've applied for or indicated an intent to apply for family medical leave insurance benefits. And if that's violated, then you have a right to bring a civil action for damages, including attorney's fees. The commissioner would also be able to bring a civil action in that case. Special rules for railroad employees. As you might know, they have a retirement system very similar but not identical to Social Security. And so this just explains how it applies to them. J defines the family terms for spouse and son and daughter, and defines families as where two adults are in a committed relationships where, quote, individuals share responsibility for a significant measure of each other's common welfare. So if you say you're a family and you act like a family, you're a family. K just clarifies that the same Social Security provisions, the payment rules, they apply here. And we set an effective date. You can start taking applications on January 1st, 2024. And so that with that, I think, so let me just talk a little bit more in a little more details. You'll be able to use this family medical leave insurance for the things that that are needed to make your family stronger. So if you get sick, you don't have to worry about losing your job or all your income. If your spouse gets sick, your kid gets sick, especially with COVID and the crisis that we've been through in the last 2 years, it's really depressing that the United States does not have a paid family leave program like all the other countries do. The wage replacement rates that are in this, the 2/3 of your annual salary, it's built on lessons that programs in California, New Jersey, and Rhode Island to help. We've looked at what the states do and see what works, and then applied that was applied to the Family Act. And it's portable. This is another thing. This is a component of the American Union Jobs Program. So if you're working in New York for many years, and then you decide to use your universal basic income to go out of the city and live somewhere cheaper and get a part-time job, in Nebraska or whatever, you're still covered and qualified with this family medical insurance program anywhere you are in the country, as long as you're eligible for Social Security disability, as long as you have the correct number of quarters worked in your life. So it's not tied to a specific employer. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. With that, Mixed Chair, I think that concludes my testimony for section 424, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Yes. I have a number of technical questions, so we'll just go through them one by one. First and foremost, it appears that this applies equally to people regardless of gender or sex, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Just based on employment. That's it.
Fantastic. And then let me, so that's who is eligible. A monthly benefit. So the monthly benefit is determined based on the previous year's taxable income, right? What their salary, right?
It's actually the highest of your previous 3 years.
Oh, okay, got you. You say highest annual salary, but that is not necessarily, is that defined as taxable income, or is that only from a single job, how much you've made?
All right, this is in subsection B.
Correct.
Subparagraph A, and it says the wages and self-employment income of the individual for the calendar year in which such wages and self-employment income are the highest among the most recent 3 calendar years.
Okay.
So wages, taxable wages.
Okay, fantastic. And then, so you have it's indexed to inflation in 2025, but quite often we see programs where we expect Congress to act when time is up, but then Congress goes ahead and just ignores things. Should this be just automatically made to have an annual or index to inflation just annually and automatically?
Yes, that's correct. The indexing begins in 2025, and it's annual.
Oh, okay.
And it's based on the same wage index that applies to that Social Security benefits are indexed to.
Got you. Oh, is there, so actually, I guess that begs another question. Anywhere in this legislative package, is there a redefining of how that inflation is indexed? Because many people feel that it is not been indexed realistically.
No, there is not. Without getting into too much of the weeds, there are a number of different measures that they use to calculate inflation. And this one is based on wage inflation, like Social Security benefits. But when it comes to the American Union Jobs Program, those inflation calculations are made based on the actual price the price index, I believe. So, but yes, this doesn't tell the government how to recalculate inflation.
Okay. The benefit period is 12 months, but you only get up to 90 days worth at a time within a year, correct?
That's correct.
Looking at, I guess it's a sort of crude way of saying it, but how an adult would obtain a child. Obviously, I don't believe in ownership of humans, but giving birth, obviously, you mentioned adoption, but then we also have to consider fostering. And this is a little bit different in every state. Most states do provide funds for foster parents, but we also see a process of what's called fostering to adopt, where you foster a child for a period of time where the parents only have that period of time to get to a position where they can have the child back. And if that doesn't happen, then the foster parents can then shift to adopting that child. Would then this, if applied for, this kick in when the transition from fostering to adoption takes place in that case?
So this uses the same definitions as the existing Family Medical Leave Act, which is in section 2612 of Title 29 of the U.S. Code. And it says in subsection A, paragraph B, the placement of a son or daughter with the employee for adoption or foster care. So either one of those be a qualifying event. And then you can apply for the Family Medical Leave Act insurance up to 30 days before you expect that you'll need to take qualified caretaking days.
Okay, got you. So fostering also counts. So that's interesting. So if there were, so in a state where, say, it was an 18th month period of fostering before adoption, those parents could potentially apply twice with the same child because the period of time is long enough. In theory, that could happen. Yes.
It says because of the placement. So I don't know if the placement is a one-time. You could certainly argue that a placement is a one-time event, but I can't say with 100% certainty.
No, that's fair. Yeah, and I think that's probably more for a judge to decide. I think because I think you could argue in either direction. Then in subsection J defines families as adults in committed relationships where both individuals share responsibility for a significant measure of each other's common welfare. So in a situation where you have like 3 or more co-parents, would only 2 of those individuals be able to apply for family medical leave in that case?
I don't have a great answer for you. A committed relationship is defined as between 2 individuals. Obviously, if you have 3 individuals, then you have 3 relationships of 2 individuals each. So, right. So
it's possible, yes.
yeah. So I don't know exactly that would work. If you have suggested changes, language, be happy to work on it with the subcommittee.
Yeah, I think that would be worth taking another look at for sure.